Sugar in my hair, melting everywhere in the sunshine. Watch the sun.
ADR stands for Arrogant Dream Review. It's also a film term meaning bring your fake ID. Ooh boy. James Mr. Big Wang. Hey, why doesn't the kid from Kin put the gun back?
Somebody's got to be looking for this thing. Dangerous people are coming after us.
So put it back. Oh man, what is this? The 7th Conjuring movie? Okay, I guess it's only the 5th. The Nun saw. It's got quite a few of those things called jump. It's got quite a few of those things called. It's got quite a few of
dangerous people.
This movie is another addition to the harmless, inoffensive, kind of pointless paranormal horror movies that have plagued society. We live in a society now more than ever. The Nun just kind of came and went. I don't really feel strongly about it either way. I just know it's not a good movie. The most vivid memories I have of this movie are just verbally asking myself and the loud audience I was with, why are you going that way? Why are you following him?
All good. Hello?
It's like the paranormal clickbait of the 1950s. You see a shadow run by a corner and you gotta get your lantern and follow him out to a smoky graveyard. And then the absence of character logic follows them outside. Why are you backpedaling in circles in the middle of a dark forest? Why don't any of you suggest you leave or go somewhere else for the time being? Stay at a nice 5-star hotel. It's 1952, but there were no indicators that I was actually in that time period. The scenes towards the beginning that took place outside, the set design, costumes, the almost off-putting colorfulness of that village and atmosphere, environment probably could have taken place 10 years ago in some rural village. And
coming up, I'll be talking to the girly show star, Jenna Maroney, about her upcoming project, The Roja.
I was almost sure they didn't speak English in Romania, but every character in this movie speaks exquisite English with these really awkward, bizarre, wavering accents that are impossible to keep up.
God's here. Dangerous people.
The characters aren't delved into at all. There's a brief scene towards the beginning where Thaisa Farmiga's nun is like nunning it up with some kids. These kids are playing with toy dinosaurs. It's a really bright, sunlit scene, and I for a moment I did think we flashed forward to like 2010 or something. It's such a miserable attempt to create a period piece with this movie, and if the obnoxious label of gothic horror is gonna substitute that to excuse all the strange and inexplicable inaccuracies with the time period and to create a more fantasized, unbelievable environment, I'm not, that's ridiculous. The only gothic elements take place in this abbey, which occupy a large chunk of the movie. Once we're indoors, the production design and flair and flavor of the movie get a lot darker, more brooding. In a strange way, the lighting gets better as it gets darker. We're out of these flat, uninspired, smoky mountaintop landscapes. What I liked about the first 2 Conjuring movies, the second one in particular, was that I felt some effort was being put into making the movies visually striking. It felt old-fashioned, but still separated itself from other horror movies by being creepy and ominous with its camera movements and lighting. The second one had this brooding, steely blue color palette that gave the audience if stupid shit was going on, it gave the audience's eyes something to feast on. The Nun takes inspiration from the worst of both aspects and meshes it in with awful character logic and characters we don't really care about to begin with, and there isn't really a shred of self-awareness throughout the entire runtime. I didn't for once think that they knew how stupid they were being. They force in this exorcism flashback to carve out this jaded character and explain why he's so hardened and tough. It really just served as an obvious reincorporation for this child to show up at the end of the movie, which just turns into a cheap imitation of Silent Hill. I completely forgot one of the main characters was a priest, and even after the exorcism scene, he exhibited no qualities of being priestly. For example, a nun snaps her own neck and sits motionless in a chair covered by a black veil. This nun 10 seconds ago was speaking to him in demonic whispers, and now she appears worse than ever, and for these reasons he decides to approach her very slowly with his arm outstretched. I don't really know what he was accomplishing, just like going like this, like he was gonna check her pulse or something. It's like that commercial they played before horror movies where the girl is like about to touch the doorknob and it's an audience telling her not to do that. I can't really think like of any audience member who wouldn't once think during this movie, like, what the fuck are you doing? It's not infuriating, you're not gonna lose sleep over the stupid shit you find in this movie, but it's just another carbon copy piece of shit formulated cliche bullshit ride. The title suggests we're going to explore the origins of Valak, kind of menacing and creepy figure in The Conjuring 2 for the brief moments that she did appear. But she's very much in this movie. You see her like head to toe, naked even. I like that part. I would say that it ruins the mystery and intrigue behind this character, but it turns out there's not much intrigue or mystery or character. They don't explain why she's there, what her motives are, why she possesses people, how she became a nun.
Is the one-dimensional female character from a male-driven comedy.
Her goal is to just possess people, and it turns out to be kind of a boring and tedious task. So when nobody in this movie is even slightly thinking one step ahead, then you have scenes that evoke nothing out of the audience. And when your movie isn't scary enough on its own, they have to incorporate jump scares. I'm not really saying anything new, but jump scares are often cheap ploys to evoke some kind of fear out of the audience during scenes that wouldn't otherwise be scary. They've been used effectively before in sparse numbers, but under the foundation of this dread and anticipation, the movie feels like it's earned. I'm easily startled, so I'm sure if a loud noise that theoretically shouldn't exist in the movie's universe coincides with some jump cut to a visceral image, then I'm probably going to jump. But it's such a fleeting, momentary sensation that doesn't give you much to chew on once the movie's over. Ultimately leaves you nothing to think about, and it makes it impossible to sink your teeth into a movie that's all fat and no meat. I'm gonna remember the lingering sting and pervasive, disturbing nature of Hereditary more than I'll remember the top 10 jump scares of The Nun. I mean, it's like when you dig into what this movie offers, you just hit like bedrock. Information gets lazily explained to Thaisa Farmiga's character at like a table scene where this woman, this nun, feels like she's buried all these secrets and is now letting them all out. Like, if you know all this shit, there's probably higher people that want to know about this. You could probably go to another nun for confession and get some help. And I know the revelations at the end of the movie, but that would just make everything before that not make sense anyway. I mentioned Thaisa Farmiga, and I wish I could say any more than she tried. I think she was given direction along the lines of look bored until your character is motivated to put themselves in deliberate danger. These characters seem unbelievably bored, so they just want to go out and like get a good adrenaline rush and then go back to bed and start it all over the next day. Yes, I'm a certified screenwriter. You ever heard of Of the positives, I mean, I said the look and design of the Abbey's pretty cool. Again, I mean, they could have gotten a worse actress to play the nun. Who is the nun even? Are you talking about the evil nun, or the nun Thaisa Farmiga? The nun before told her that also she has a shared nun. Are you talking about because of the scene nun, or where she nun and I think she is exceptional and much better utilized in movies where she has so much narrative and I guess script-wise a lot more leeway. What I'm trying to say is she was in a mainly improvised dialogue movie called 6 Years where she was
so stupid. It's not okay.
I'm not even that drunk, Dad.
You're really drunk.
I'm not really drunk.
Promise me next time you will call me if you're fucking drunk. And
Call
you're not gonna be
you?
an idiot
What?
and drive all across town
I
to
wasn't
drop
the only
Jessica
one
off
who's
and then
drinking.
come back
I
over
wasn't
here.
the only one who was drinking.
Stop.
You
Can
were
keep your
drinking. So
voice
what are
down,
they supposed
please?
to do?
My roommates are trying to sleep. Just try and
But
keep your
what?
voice down.
I'm gonna call you and wake you up. No, you're sleeping. I'm perfectly
It doesn't
capable.
matter. Just
I
don't
need
do
to
it.
see you.
Don't be
You
a
want me to
fucking
see you?
idiot.
What?
Don't do it.
What?
Just don't.
Fuck you.
Where are you going?
I liked her performance in The Final Girls. I think she fit her character well. American Horror Story, I haven't seen every season, but I think she does a solid job too. I think she thrives when she's given a role where she can exert these kind of awkward human tics and natural nuances as opposed to the role of a nun whose only job is to sit straight and talk like... Hello. I'm going back to the positives, sorry, I'm just... There's a theme that reverberates at certain points during this movie. It's a lumbering cacophony of voices that all sound like a vocalized District 9 wow. And the moments where that theme hits kind of elevate what would be a very boring and tedious scene. During a moment where a shadow is kind of running across the wall and morphs into the mirror and the theme hits, and it's a full moment, and I feel like that was like its one-hit wonder. And if you care a lot about this Conjuring cinematic universe, the movie does tie in at the end to the other movies in a kind of neatly packaged way. Again, I don't really have much connection to these characters. I like Conjuring 1 and 2. Annabelle was torture. I'm giving this 3 nuns out of 666 nuns. Oh, alright.
This dick ain't free. You looking at me like it ain't a receipt, like I never made ends meet, eating your leftovers and raw meat. This dick ain't free. Living in captivity, raised my cap salary, celery,